Damian Hardwick one was sick because it was like...
That was groundbreaking.
But like people, that was so weird because he was coming on the show and then we're going to do it and he was still at Richmond and then all of a sudden he just like left and then the longer it went, I was like, fuck, I just love doing what I'm doing, working for myself and building our own products. And this was like 8 episodes in and I remember...
What was on that deck? Do you remember?
The old media kit, hey?
It was a media kit. I was building a media kit like after training. Like,
yeah.
I love this.
That's cool. Well, the joys of podcasting, mate. We've just been talking about it off air with our fantastic guests, but we can't wait to welcome the great Dylan Buckley. Welcome to the dos&d show, Dyl.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks,
Clap at yourself.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Thanks for having me.
It is an awkward thing, isn't it? There's probably
Yeah.
not enough of us for a live audience clap, but we do it anyway.
We just try to bring the energy up, you know. But we didn't expect you to clap yourself, so apologies for that. But mate, thank you so much for joining us. We're so keen to dive in.
Mate, it's been a while in the making, so absolutely honoured, and congrats to you boys on what you've done and achieved. I've been seeing a lot of your snippets, a lot of great guests, and always respect and love young men and women having a crack, and you guys are doing a great job. So very, very honoured.
Oh, thank you, mate, and probably thanks to you, mate. You're one of the pioneers in the industry, especially here in Melbourne in Australia, mate. But it's not an easy game, is it? Podcasting.
You know what's funny? Like the podcast and clothing labels, I reckon are the two most like started things, but have to be like the two worst things to ever start because they're so accessibly easy to do and start, but they're very hard to make them somewhat successful, I suppose. And we talk about this all the time in business and where we're at, and even like where we've sort of got to now, which I'm sure we'll chat on today. But a lot of ideas you come up with the idea to make money out of something. But the way podcasting for me started was just something that I actually really enjoyed, and it's very easy to say when there's bills to pay and things to do. Like you've actually got to create something that you enjoy doing first, then be able to turn it into something else. But yeah, it's interesting because the stuff we think about now when we're thinking about like doing new shows and doing whatever we're doing, like, are we doing this to make money or are we doing it because we actually like it? And often if you're doing it to make money, it just doesn't work.
Well, I was going to ask, in your experience, how many times have you found that?
A lot, heaps of times. And I think especially when you're trying to do new things, whether it's trying to fit it in with a certain business idea or something you want to do, you just got to think really short term. And actually, if you are passionate about it and if you love it, and you don't have to be passionate about the actual product, but you have to be passionate about the process of getting it out there and having fun and building something because, as you guys know, there's so many, and this is just anyone in business, there's just tops and turns and everything happens. But if you can sort of come back to why you're doing it and the passion for it, then it makes it a lot easier. Was there a moment where you lost the love for it at all? I mean, it's been a long time. So was there ever a moment where you kind of thought, is this still giving me that itch that I want? Not really. Like I've never lost the passion for, I think one thing that I've been really aware of is I love doing different things, like multiple different things. And with the podcasting stuff, like if I was to sit down and only just continue to interview sports players and I did nothing else, didn't start clubby sports or help other shows or anything like that, 100% I would have been done with it because I would have gotten over it and wanted to do something different. But, I've got some incredible business partners and great people around me that we've always tried to just invent new things and add and pivot and do different stuff along the way. And my biggest thing with anything really is I hate that feeling of just doing the same thing over and over. So I've always tried to pivot. Has things got tiresome? 100%. But as soon as I have with Dyl Friends, I was like, fuck, I want to do some footy stuff now. So we made Footy and Friends. And then I wanted to talk to people to teach me something. So we made Teach Me Please. So we've made these other little spin-off shows and spin-off things to keep it interesting. Because, you can probably get over things yourself. And if you are, it's a fair chance your audience is as well.
Can you give us a bit of insight into, for the viewers and listeners right now, but maybe the top 2 or 3 most frustrating things that people aren't really aware of that happen for podcasters?
Yeah. Oh, well, we were talking about one before.
Yeah.
If you're ever going to start a podcast in the modern day today, I would just not evolve it around other people. I'm a big believer in you have to do it. It's up to you to make something successful, and that is so hard in itself when you're working on other people's time. And I'm so so grateful, for all the guests that have ever come in, but you are ultimately working on other people's schedule, which can be really difficult to lock in. So as you guys would know, we had to reschedule about 50 times, and I apologise for that. But
but the thing is, though, mate, you're not the only one. It's everyone.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So I'd say
that is actually one of the frustrating things is trying to like work on someone else's time is extremely difficult. What else is difficult about podcasts? Well, I'm not going to make it out like it's the hardest thing ever. It's definitely not. But there's some frustrations.
What about equipment letting you down, or
mate?
But again, being frank, like people letting you down too, and sometimes when mistakes are made in production or post production or pre production, and it's not actually on you, like. That's just a real.
That make it.
I'm ready. I'm ready to throw. I'm ready.
These boys are great, by the way.
Look, that's just a part of the caper, unfortunately. The last 2 weeks of recording, Footy and Friends, we've got 2 young producers, Link and Mac, who are unbelievable. They're so good at what they do, but they don't come from a production background. And I'm not like a, dictator at all when it comes to like being a, someone that's working with the boys. But my biggest thing for people when you do work is like, it's fine to make mistakes, but unless you then don't learn from it the next time, that's only the only time you should get frustrated with yourself. So equipment stuff, I had a chat with them this morning. I was like, boys, I'm not angry at all, but let's not let this happen again next week, because ultimately we're working on this together. Like the better it goes for us, the better it goes for you guys. Like let's nail it. And then this week it wasn't fixed. So we had to sit down again and say, hey, what did we learn from next week? Again, but look, there is so many little things that happen with that, but it's just you to roll on with the punches and get it going. Like the amount of times and episodes that we've lost and, haven't even pressed record, I've still got scars from all those things in the making. So, I'd say that the guest stuff, equipment is hard. You know what the worst fucking thing in the world is lighting. Yeah. This actually looks like it's lit very well.
Again, that's thanks to our wonderful
crew.
Team.
You've done a great job.
It's Bryce,
No, I knew it wouldn't be you. You've done fuck all.
Just for everyone listening, Sammy was giving Dyl dirt before we even started.
Sammy basically just had a crack at Dyl's footy career.
Jesus.
Sammy's, I don't know what the fuck Sammy does, to be honest. But,
neither do I. And we pay the bloke. So
look, I'm not going to complain anymore. I'm very, very lucky. I love what I do. Very, very blessed, very, very thankful and honoured to be here today to talk through it all.
There you go.
Oh, well, I was just going to ask. I find it interesting too, working with a young team as well. I assume Producey is quite similar. We surround ourselves with young people too, and it brings our energy up and a bit of youth and excitement. But again, and we were having this conversation the other day. There's a fine line between being mates, like that mates vibe, but then there has to be a time where you have to have sometimes hard conversations, or how do you go in that regard?
It's tough. Like I think I learned this a lot through football as well. And to be honest, I wasn't probably great at it because, now it's the shoe's on the other foot, and I can see so many times now say that I'm a coach of my business, and I was a player of another team. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I can see now how frustrating I would have been to coach. Just being like, fucking hell, mate, all I want you to do is just play your role. I don't need you to do anything special. I just need you to play your role, and then the rest is amazing. And I love working with our team. It's amazing to see how good they are at that. And, the people that we've got into the business have just genuinely been through people that have walked in the door and wanted to come in for experience, or friend of a friend. Mon, who works with me on Dyl Friends, she was a school teacher, and she came in one day a week to record her own show. And now she's like full time, and I don't hope she's not listening to this, but she's probably the most important person, for me, because she just sets everything up for me.
Yeah.
She puts it on a platter. She does Dyl Friends. She keeps me like very consistent. Like I can wane off and do different things. So without her, I honestly wouldn't have even got here on time today. She's absolutely amazing. And then Mac and Lincoln, are young guys. Mac literally came for work experience. We couldn't get rid of him. I honestly was like, when he first came in, I was like, oh my God, this kid's so fucking annoying. Like, how are we going to get rid of this bloke?
Are we talking like footy nuffy, or just wants to...
He didn't know how to do anything, mate. Like, he just came in and was like, had no idea what he was doing. And he's taught himself how to edit.
Wow.
He's now become like one of the most important, people in our show. The audience absolutely love him. He's so funny. He just takes the piss out of himself, but he's real. And that's what I love about clubby sports, is just the behind the scenes. Like, whilst people might come to see me, I want them to actually see the behind the scenes and see the whole crew that work there, and Link the same. He's come from WA, moved here for media to do some SEN work, and then he's come and producing Footy and Friends now. Just got a great appetite for the game, loves stats, loves all the things that I don't. So you just got to find your people that you surround yourself with. And I can't actually move on without making mention of Darcy as well, who has been sort of my full-time producer from the start, and now he's moved to the other side of our business in Producey, which is our content production sort of house, and he's heading that up now. But he did the job of all those three, and he was doing it by himself. He was doing Dyl Friends, Footy and Friends, more greens. He was doing video production. He was doing everything. So I like to say I've replaced him with three others, and they're still not as good. But he's doing an amazing job.
I'm sure as Clubby's grown to where it is, you've had to say, and I don't want to shoot myself in the footy because you've said yes to coming here, which I'm fucking pumped about. But I'm sure you have to say no to lots of stuff, and that's something that we've slowly learned, having more and more people come in. We do ask this question from time to time, especially in the business world. Life's busy. Stuff happens outside of work. And I only think of this because you mentioned the work experience. I'm sure you get DMs all the time. Hey, can I come in, do work experience? Or can I just come and see how you do things? I'm not specifying.
Or be on the show.
Yeah, or being on the show. Like, can I come on the show? I want to promote something. Has saying no been something that you've had to get better at? I don't want to assume.
Yeah, for sure.
But is it?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I was a massive yes man, and I think that, in the early days of your career, you just got to say yes to everything. And Sam Gash, actually, a guest that I've had on the podcast, told me this, and it stuck with me, actually. He's like, you got to say yes to everything, and then there's a point where you got to start saying no to everything. And I probably hit that point last year, and it wasn't because I didn't want to do things. It was just because I spread myself too thin, and, you've only got 100% of your time, and if you're doing 100 things, that's 1% into all of them. And I wanted to put, like, that percentage of my time into less things so I could put more into those facets of my life and business, I suppose. So there's heaps of ways I can go with this question, but before I talk about my time, I'll talk about the other people, because I have this little bit of advice that I found, and I found the good people that want to get into the industry can learn, is like when people ask to come in for work experience or anything like that, I love people that come more so not asking, but like providing something first. So it's almost like, instead of saying, can I come and learn this? It's like, hey, I've noticed your lighting in your stuff isn't great. Do you mind if I come in and give you a few tips, and then you might, see value in that, and we can work more together. And though anyone that's ever done that I'm like, come at me. Like, initiative.
Sammy, don't take that advice. We want to keep you here, by the way.
It's just like, I think initiative's such an incredible thing, and I love innovation. I love initiative from people. I love other people's ideas. I honestly don't think I have the best ideas, but I surround myself with the best people. So anyone that's keen to just give and just, sit and just like think about new ideas, come up with stuff, go with it. Like, I just love collaborating with people. The part about me, I suppose, with time to go to the other side is as well now, like, I've got a young family, and probably got to a point for me where I was just, doing way too much, not being able to. When my time was at work, I was thinking I should be at home. Then I was at home. I was like, fuck, I should have been at work. I didn't work hard enough today. And then I wasn't even putting any time into my health and my fitness and my own mental health. So I was fully just in the wrong areas. So I think now when I choose to do things, it's like, I just put it up. I'm like, would I rather spend this time at home with Jazz and Max? And I got a little girl on the way in about 6 weeks' time. So it's really
congrats,
exciting.
mate.
Congratulations.
You. And would I rather spend my time there, or would I rather spend it somewhere else? So it's almost a very easy answer sometimes, but it's hard to sort of get in the habit of that, like, coming into your mind, because, and mine will test this best to anyone, I say yes to everything. Then when it gets to actually doing it, I'm like, oh, fuck, why did I say yes to that? And unless I've actually thought about it. So you want to avoid that as much as possible.
Do you stress about things when it comes to business, especially when it becomes a full-time thing and there's more to lose? Like, there's one thing stressing about when you're on the up, but when you've actually got now a family that you're supporting, and not just that, but you're producing that whole aspect. Like, for me personally, I wake up in the middle of the night all the time, cold sweats. What if everything falls apart? What if we can't pay the boys? Do you have those thoughts?
I do, but I think for me what shines through more is the thought of, like, what if I didn't have this? And it sort of goes both ways. Like, I think for me, like, I'm so happy living in, like, this life of running your own thing and, doing your own schedule and having some freedom, but with that comes a great responsibility as well of other people. And I think, like, we hear these things all the time. Like, you got to choose your hard. Like, no matter what you do, there's going to be hard shit that happens. Like, whether you're working as an accountant for someone like a Big Four accounting firm, like, there's going to be long hours. There's going to be many spreadsheets you have to do. That's still very hard work. So choose how you want your hard to be. I'm also really lucky as well. Like, if anything, the biggest thing for me through my whole life, I think, has been, like, you are who you surround yourself with. And I have just amazing people around me. Like, I've genuinely won the lottery. Like, I have the best team in the world. Like, I've got two business partners, Adam Baldwin and Zach Kangalaris, and we've sort of just come together and all just very different people, same values, but different skill sets. So I come up with a lot of, like, the ideas and I suppose the vision for, like, the business or wherever we want to go. Zach is an unbelievable in, like, sports, sales, partnerships, all those sort of things. And then Baldy is probably one of the best operators I've ever seen. He runs, like, he just makes it happen. So we sort of work together. Yeah. And, you let the painters paint. Like, if you just let each other do their thing and don't try and, like, micromanage anything they're doing. I just let them cook. Like, once I've come up with something, I'm like, all right, it's up to you boys now. You get it done. And they don't say yes all the time too. If they're like, that's a shit idea, I'm like, all right, sweet, we'll go back to the next one. Yeah. So it's just, like, not taking anything personally as well.
So you're the face of the three?
Unfortunately, yeah, it's not the best face either. But I'd say, I don't really want that to be the way, to be honest. But I think, I suppose there is a part where they're really happy to be more behind the scenes operators of the business. And I suppose one thing that I like doing is getting to know people, making connections, and I suppose bringing, people together. And then those guys are unbelievable at that too, but we just have different skills and we work really well together, which has been cool.
The sports media or content space, like, it's a whole different kettle of fish now. And you guys are doing it so brilliantly. And so many others are, and especially overseas too. Like, I feel like we're a step behind here.
Oh, 10 years for sure.
And that's something we're both really keen to talk about.
Definitely.
Because we're big football, soccer fans.
Yep.
And there's some companies similar to you that are doing just extraordinary things in terms of, like, I'm loving seeing Clubby TV, right, as an example.
Thank you.
Based on, we're big fans of The Club, which is basically a live streaming podcast, visual. 5 creators sitting around a table watching a game of soccer,
yeah, sick,
analysing it, talking about it. It's a massive show. And, we've always loved it and we've talked about the idea. So it's great to see you guys doing that. But where do you see us here in Australia? How long is it going to take for us to, one, respect our creators the way they do over there? Because you look at some of the sports creators over there, they seem to just embrace them. They're almost like they're celebrities over there. They're YouTubers and they're creators. Whereas here, maybe, I don't know if it's because our population is as big, but where do you see the industry shifting here in Australia to be more like, say, the UK as an example?
It's a great question. And I'm not an expert in this whatsoever, by the way, but it's just, my thoughts and opinions. I'd say just quickly on the Clubby TV stuff, which is, I really appreciate you bringing that up, but it's one of those things I was talking about earlier around, like, is this something we're passionate about or is this something where we see a business in? And that was something I had to ask myself, going, like, there is something in this, but it's not going to make money right away. Like, we just have to do this because we actually like watching the footy together and be consistent at it, rock up every week, get that, like, audience to just continue coming, know that Thursday nights, we own Thursday nights. Like, we don't, but, like, just keep saying, like, we own it, we're here. And you just build that into, like, a routine of, like, this is our thing. And that's what happened for Dyl Friends for the first, 2-3 years. So hopefully that's where that can go, but there's no guarantees. In terms of the being respected and where I see it going, you know what, like, you guys would know this probably even better than me, because I don't actually consume a lot of, like, content outside of the Australia. Like, I know the shows and I know what they're doing, like The Ringer and Barstool, and more familiar with the US stuff than I am with the UK stuff. But I just love that the behind the scenes nature of their content. As I said earlier, around, like, Mac, for example, some random kid who's come in, and, like, I genuinely think in the next 12 months he could be, a massive part of our business. And once people get to see this guy with, like, he's got a lot of skills and a great kid, but he could be a massive person that's just come in and invented that out of nothing. And that's what I love about Barstool, with, Jersey Jerry and these sort of guys. They're just randoms that love their team, and they come in and just have a crack because they're surrounded by the people that have the the means to be able to do it. They're just normal people. So that's where I sort of see that going that's the goal for us, I suppose, is just to take people and think that anyone could do it, because realistically anyone actually can. But yeah, with the podcast stuff in terms of respect, like I already think we're nearly there, to be honest. Like I think the more we just continue to go down those tracks, like you look at what, for example, even Kane Corns has done for the sports media. You know, I love what he does. I wouldn't want to be on the bad side of Kane at all, but
Yeah.
he's just, I think he's fantastic for the media and what he's been able to do. I know that's not in podcasting, but it's brought over that like Stephen A. Smith type of commentary that we just never had before. So I think we're getting there. I think it's coming. There's going to be more and more of it. And yeah, it's a really exciting time to be in this sort of field. And as I said, the more that people come through, make more shows, like, you know, what do they say? The rising tide raises all ships. Like the more they can do it, the better.
Now, Dyl Buckley, obviously a huge thinker, a big thinker. You know, when I think of big,
What?
I think of the biggest projects in Melbourne. And you know who does the biggest projects in Melbourne?
Who?
FBH.
Not just Melbourne, Dice. We're talking Australia.
True.
They're the biggest projects. We're not talking small things here. When the biggest projects, when there are needs, they only go to one place, and that is Fleet Plant Hire Solutions.
Fleet hire, plant hire, truck hire, anything you can imagine earth moving, Fleet are the best. That's why we love them. Head to fbh.com.au, find out more today.
We'll get back to the episode now with the great Dylan Buckley. It's funny what you say about that, the behind the scenes stuff. Our most engaged stuff is always just
All behind the scenes.
Like sometimes it's just the dumbest, stupidest 5 to 10 second video of him eating something, for example, and just a question to the audience. Everybody's got an opinion and they just go nuts versus like a really well put together clip that we put all this time in.
I think the reason on that, I think, and I actually consume that content too, is because it's people, whenever you do something, or even like you're talking, I'm thinking about myself in that situation.
Yeah.
Like you do the same thing. We're also just thinking about ourselves. So sometimes when you're talking about certain content that you can't picture yourself in, you sort of go, oh, that's never going to fucking happen. Why would I watch this?
Yeah.
You know, like there's movies and things that you watch to like think about other people, but versus when you're watching that day in the life type stuff, you're like, oh, okay, I could do this. This is in me. So you're very much like more in it,
100%.
which is the content that I like to consume as well.
I mean, on that too, and with the creative stuff, have you ever struggled with professional jealousy, as they kind of call it? So, and what I mean by that, it's not just about, I mean, we all probably play in the space of analytics and for ourselves, like, because I don't know how you guys are modeled as a business, but for us, obviously, that's a big part of how we pay bills. But also ideas that you might have sat on for 6 months and somebody else does it, or a guest that you really wanted and somebody else gets them first. Like, have you dealt with that over the journey? And if so, where are you at with that now? Or you may not have at all.
No, I definitely have. The first problem that you said is you sat an idea for 6 months, which is way too long. That's your own fault. But I think for me around like even the guest stuff, I've never quite, to be completely honest, I've never cared if someone's had a guest and then I've had them. Like I wouldn't want to have them back to back or anything, but like it doesn't bother me because I think people chat about different stuff all the time. In terms of the professional jealousy, 100%, like I'd be lying if I said that didn't pop up at all. But the way you know, I'm 32 now and I've failed in so many things. And I think the one thing I can realize now is like if you're blaming other people for your problems, like it's just not reality. Like you've always got to come back to why am I feeling like this? And I think like if I was jealous of what you guys were doing, that's something in me that is actually admiring something you've done, but I'm pissed off that I haven't done it myself. So it's like you have to identify what that is. Why are you feeling like that? Okay, they went and did this. Fuck, is that because I've been sitting on my ass for 6 months, I haven't done it, and they've gone and done it? Now I'm pissed off. I'm not actually jealous of them. I'm actually just angry at myself for not doing it. So I think, you know, I've taken me a lot of time to come to those conclusions about stuff. But yeah, that's what jealousy is for me. It's like it's because there's something in there that you're annoyed about.
But even in because you're a trailblazer, right? So you start doing Friends, and now, respectfully, there's so many players that are still playing at their clubs, or they've come out of the game or retired or whatever, and they're following a very similar model. Is that being totally transparent? Do you find that is any of that frustrating to you, or not?
It's honestly not.
It's more
I think like as I said earlier about like there's two parts to it. One is like I've obviously copied this from someone else as well.
Yeah.
So no idea is new. Like Joe wrote, I probably copied someone doing what I'm doing. So I can't really get upset if other people are doing it as well. And then around like other people starting shows, like as I said, like, you know, the more shows, rising tide raises all ships. It's better, and all you can do is be the best you can be. I know this sounds so cringe, but if my show, I can make that the best it can be, well, people are going to listen to mine anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
And if they're not, well, you don't probably want them listening to it. So, look, it's hard. There's always been times where you see things, you're like, oh, fucking hell, like, we've done that, we've done this, but I just try and just bring it back to just worrying about myself. Like, I've got to, this sort of like last 24 months for me has been a massive learning curve. Like, everything I think about is just like, how can I navigate this, not what are other people doing? Because the moment you start thinking about other people, it's just like, you can't, what can you do?
Has that shifted more so since being a dad?
Definitely. Yeah, being a dad, and also just maturing, I think, just in like, in a bit of business stuff. Like, there's just other, you know, friendships, relationships that I've had with, you know, close mates from school and all these bits and pieces. You just work out, like, everyone's doing their own thing, you know, like, everyone's just got their own shit going on in their life. Everyone's got their own wins, their losses. We're all just fucking trying to work it out. So, like, I just don't take anything personally. Like, nothing to me is personal now. Like, it is what it is. And that doesn't mean I don't get upset by things. Like, 100% I do, but I just think about how I can react to it, because that's the only way.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the future and what's exciting, but just to go one step back, was there a time in your journey in Dyl Friends in those early days where something shifted, where suddenly, like, the road ahead, like, basically you saw what could be ahead? Like, when you think back over the years, is there a specific moment, a specific interview, a specific guest, something that just changed, like, I could take this from here to another level?
Yeah. It's a great question. I think there's probably a few, but there's two that sort of stand out, and they're probably not like the two that are even the best, but they're just two where I was like, oh my God, this is sick. I remember when I was at the Giants, so I got the list from Carlton, went to the Giants.
Can I just say, how long are we into this? I'm actually really proud that we didn't bring up Carlton or GWS in the first like 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. I know. I thought we were going to talk about it. No, I appreciate that. But when I finished up there and I went to the Giants, I had to start this Dyl Friends, but I didn't want them to own it, so I wanted to do it myself. And then I was getting help from a guy named Ryan Miller at the Giants, who's a ripping dude. He was doing all the digital stuff there. He was helping me, like, teaching me how to, like, edit and stuff. And then another girl named Alice, she was working the partnerships team. I don't want to get her in trouble, but I'd like meet her after training, and we'd sit in like the cafeteria, and she would like help me, teach me like how to put together a deck to like sell episodes. And this was like 8 episodes in. And I remember
what was on that deck? Do you remember?
The old media kit, hey?
It was a media kit. I was building a media kit like after training. Like,
I love this.
That's cool, because we've filled it. We've done the exact side. I'm interested to know what you had on there.
100%. Well, I just would have the stats, some of the guests, the numbers, the downloads.
Was it a Canva job?
It was a Canva job, 100%. Yeah, Canva job, and we'll putting it all together. And I remember somehow, like, I got this girl's number. Her name was Danica, actually, if she's listening. I got her number from somehow, illegal for sure, and she worked with a brand. And I'll tell you who the brand was later, but they're not with us at the moment, so I won't pump them up too much. And messaged her, put together this deck, worked on this pitch, and then sold like 8 episodes to this brand. And I made more money doing that than like 3 months of playing footy on a list. And to be honest, at that stage, I was a rookie, and I was on 70 grand, which is a great salary for anyone. But I was just like, what the fuck? Like, how did this happen? So I was like, maybe there is something in this. Who knows? And anyway, I was just proud of myself. It was like, how did that happen? Like, it was cool. And then the other one was when I sort of came back to Melbourne, and I was working for 3AW, and I was still just doing the podcast on the side, and it wasn't really working out at 3AW. I sort of got let go from doing that. And then I just decided to like rent this place out at my brother-in-law. He had this room, and I remember just committing to it. I remember it was $100 a week, which is like, in the scheme of things now, it's not a lot of money. But at that time, I was like, what if
of course,
this is a lot of money to like do? And I just did that, and then from there it just started, snowball. It just sort of just kept going.
Were you batch recording then, like when you had the little rental space, or were you getting people once a week?
One a week, but I always, at the moment even, I'm always try to stay like 2 weeks ahead.
Okay.
But I don't like doing them too far out, just because sometimes I forget what I've even said in them, and then I'm like, what the fuck are we going to talk about?
That happened to me this week.
Yeah.
That genuinely happens. Like, I said to D, I'm like, is it dos&d uncut this week? And he's like, yeah. So I had to, like, make sure I had to go and edit it and do whatever. But yeah, I know you want it to still stay relevant too.
Yeah, of course. Well, mate, you do what you got to do, but I think it's but with the being in there 5 days a week, I'm pretty flexible with the time of being able to work it. So just try and keep it. We like to lock them in, but then just bring them. Not do them too close to being.
How
recorded.
do you? What's your? One of our favorite words is systems.
Yeah,
we love
systems and
We love
processes.
systems and processes, and we love streamlining things, don't we, lads? What's your process in terms of guests?
This is actually
guests reach out
Love this
because a lot of people won't know, but the amount of time and effort that goes into trying to land a guest, it's a lot. Not just but even just. I'm sure you reach out to a lot of people and don't get much of a response.
Oh, for sure, mate. 100%. We reach out to a lot of people and hear absolutely crickets. But as I mentioned earlier, very lucky with Mon. She's amazing. So she's my producer for Dyl Friends. She does a lot of that work. But we catch up and spitball the names and do the schedule, and we look at the time of the year. So say the Rip Curl Pro's on. It's like, can we land a surfer and get it at this period so that it sort of makes sense.
Well, Cam Smith was a great example.
Cam Smith, in the golf at Live. So he was awesome, and Mon, she tees all that stuff up. And then in terms of systems processes, I love. We're talking about apps and stuff we use.
Are you a spreadsheet operator? What is it?
Nah. I'm a lover Trello guy.
Trello's
Trello.
good. Yeah.
Google Docs. Have you heard of Google? Google's pretty good.
I know Google.
Yeah. Gmail calendar.
Well, it does it all, Google.
It's
once
fucking
you get
amazing.
into it.
And the chat, all that sort of stuff.
We're trying to work that one.
I'm trying to get him on the chat.
Yeah.
He just loves emails. I'm like, mate,
I hate emails.
I'm the same.
There's
love
a
emails.
summarise thing on. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
For someone who has no attention span, now when someone sends me an email, I just press summarise and it just says this is what they want versus having to read.
That's on
the
text
whole
now
thing.
too. On your text, iPhone text, they summarize that.
One of my mates got the hilarious summary text the other day. It was the funniest thing. It was from a girl he was seeing. And the summary just said, immature, not going anywhere. And he just sent a screenshot to the boys and we just pissed
That
ourselves
sounds
laughing.
like what my missus sends to me.
It was just a total spray.
So Trello.
Yeah, Trello's grouse. If anyone uses Trello, it's sick. And you can put your Google Docs in Trello as well, and they just upload. This is such a boring conversation. But
sorry, mate. Shit question.
No, as
shit
in, I
question.
love this stuff, but
We love the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
But the listeners probably.
no. Some people love it. I'm very big on even just titling and making sure things are systemed the same way. I like it looking very, very neat how it's going, and there's different docs. So it's booked, locked in time, recorded.
Okay, now it's getting boring.
So what's your favourite font from Microsoft Word?
I'm joking. Time New Range.
Well, I mean, I love just even hearing some of those old stories because I remember too, and this was the first time it was an even epiphany to me that how big things were getting. It was we rocked up to play a local footy game, standing in the ground at halftime as you do to meet, and somebody rocked up with a Dyl Friends hat. And this would have been 2018 or 19 maybe. So and then suddenly there's a conversation sparked where it still felt like a bit of an underground niche thing, but then suddenly you got all these blokes talking. So that was
amazing, man. That's my favourite thing, I reckon, to this day, seeing people in merch. Just because it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you guys can attest to.
Probably not to your level, but it is nice when you occasionally get the odd pat on the back. But two-part question. So we talked about guests.
Yep.
Because we've had the guests that once they've said yes, you're just jumping for joy. So
Don't ask him what his dream guest is.
No. I wasn't going to ask that. I was going to ask, have you had one where, for whatever reason, even if it seems silly now, where you had a guest say yes and you were just pumped that they locked in? But also, on the flip side, how do you respond to people that are trying to get on your show and it's a straight up no, but you're trying to be kind of polite and diplomatic about it?
It's a mon job.
Okay, perfect. There you go. Handball it off.
Nah, it's not. It's not a no. It's just probably not right now because.
Do you get many of them? People just.
We get great people reaching out all the time, which is amazing. But a lot of the stuff we're doing at the moment is we do seasons now, stuff as you talked about earlier about do I get sick of things, and it probably was getting a bit monotonous of just doing the same thing. So we broke out and we're let's do a coaches series. So it's 5 weeks of just
that's
AFL
been really
coaches,
good.
which I've loved. Doing it's broken it up and it's here's 5 of the best AFL coaches and then we'll get back into doing other stuff later on in the year. So it is really booked for a lot of the stuff we're doing, but in terms of other people, it's we'll just work that out. There's obviously some people that just it's not the right fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mon does a great job with the bookings, and then the other stuff around the jumping for joy guest. Fuck, there's been a few. I'm just trying to remember who, like the Mick Fanning one when we got him in at Live, and it was only a short time, but he said after it, let's come up to Gold Coast and we'll do another one there. So that was unbelievable. Just sitting down with him, he's just a cool operator. Andrew Dillon one was really cool.
That's
it was
a huge get.
The Damian Hardwick one was sick because it was
that was groundbreaking.
But people, that was so weird because he had just left Richmond. Sorry, he was coming on the show, and then we're going to do it, and he was still at Richmond, and then all of a sudden he just left, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm never going to get him on the show now. And then Carly, who works with Dimmer, she's an absolute weapon. Carly Miranda, one of my really, really lovely lady work a lot with, and she goes, oh, okay, so you're all ready for the podcast next week? And I was like, but he's left. And then I got COVID. Oh. And I was like, Carly, I can't do this. I want to, but I don't want to get him sick. I can't do it. So we postponed it. And then the week later, we did it. So he held off the whole
huge.
time
That's huge.
to do it.
Wow.
What a legend. And
that is huge.
He knew what he was doing too.
Yeah.
I actually...
Did you know?
Mate, I'm that oblivious to I don't really care about breaking news at all. I'm not really, should be a bit better at that. But at the end of it, I was like, oh fuck, I probably should ask you, mate. Do you want to coach again? And he's like, yeah. I was like, sweet. And then it just went nuts.
Was that a typed job from the
it was.
producer?
No, it actually was.
Was it actually?
Darcy was like, ask him this, and I was like, oh my god, yeah,
there you
crazy.
go.
And then he went and coached Gold Coast. But ripping dude, he still remembers it. See him all the time, not all the time, but I see him not all the time. I see him a bit, and he's a great guy. Chris Fagan as well. He's a ripper.
That was a good episode actually.
I mean, and that's where we talked earlier about doing things differently. That's where you're a step above most in that. To get what I mean by that is. It's.
I'd say 2 steps above.
2 steps above. There you go. Perfect. Maybe 3. Maybe 3. The last one on probably podcast question. Have you ever asked a question you thought, oh, that was iffy, but they actually responded in a way that, sometimes we ask questions. Even happened today. I'm like, I don't think that came out the way I intended, and they took it the wrong. Not they didn't take it poorly, but they took the question in a different direction.
Yeah.
But have you ever gone and you almost we have a phrase we say amongst ourselves and. For all of 2025, we say grab your testicles, right? So when we're...
Gravy testicles.
Grab your testicles.
Yeah,
so when things get hard and you're in a business deal and it gets you all through all the small talk and it's time to actually put a number to them, grab your balls and just do it, right?
Yeah, okay.
But it also applies to interviewing. Sometimes you got a question, you're like, shouldn't I grab them and do it? Have you ever had that kind of moment?
Yeah, definitely. There's all those times. I always think though, I always chat to them beforehand and say what do you want to do? And unless they don't say anything, then you assume that they're there. And if they want to take it out, they can. They never really do. But have you got one for me today to grab my testicles? Or was that a lead in?
No, absolutely not. No, it was more curiosity
it
because
does. You got to just hit them between the eyes. And I think there's been times where even early days, conversations are hard. When you're looking at someone in the eye and just talking about stuff that people are listening, but when you're in the room, sometimes it does get pretty tense.
Because there's all the we'll talk about this today. There's all the keyboard warriors that say, "Why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask that?" Because you didn't hear us talking off air.
Yeah.
And we ask a question. We asked it to you. What is off limits? Now, if you say something is, we won't go there because you've come and done the right thing, given us your time, so we respect that.
I don't know if you listen to Modern Wisdom with Chris Williamson. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of that. Yeah, no, I've listened to a few episodes for sure.
Me and Bryce bond over that. We love that podcast. But he put a vlog out the other day. He gets fucking sick of me talking about Chris Williamson. But he basically used this analogy. It's like inviting someone into your living room and asking them and covering the floor with pins.
Yeah.
And saying, come into my home and enjoy yourself, but make it as uncomfortable as you can. And that's just not when people are wanting you to ask these questions, you want them to enjoy themselves too.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's just not for me. Hey, I just ask what I want to know, and sometimes with the stuff that some people might be known for, or what the fuck are they going to say? Do you reckon they're actually going to tell you the truth anyway? So they obviously don't want to talk about it. Just let it cruise. But yeah, I know that there's other people like that. I actually had Mike Sheehan, who very very good sports journalist and one of the best in footy. I remember I had a meeting with him once and had a coffee and. he was giving me some advice, and he said, like, mate, love what you're doing, love the show. And this was like really early. And he said, but until you start asking hard questions, like, you're not going to go anywhere. And I was like, it's a good point. But like, I just found that wasn't what I wanted to do, you know, like it wasn't really what I was doing it for. It was just to have a chat. So, and I think that in the end, if people want to tell you, they're going to tell you anyway. They'll work it into like the point where it goes. So without asking, you can sort of like work your way to it.
Well, we've probably got Mike to thank actually, because former guest of our show, Mike Sheen.
Yeah, that's
you know.
Did he give you that advice?
No,
okay.
But he had to go at Lidsey, and that made it onto Dyl, onto
Friends.
Friends.
And mate, I actually grew up watching open mic.
Yeah,
like
it's a great show.
Love it, and I don't hold that I'm actually saying that in terms of it's an amazing bit of feedback.
Yeah,
that I really respected. And love what he's done. But yeah, I just realised that probably wasn't where I wanted to go with things.
And there's a fine line too. We talk about this all the time. So one thing that used to frustrate us going back 2 or 3 years ago when we were trying to get some kind of, was people doing similar age, similar following, similar vision of what they want to do, and they'd get a great guest and then they treat them like shit.
Yeah.
Or you could see that they're making somebody uncomfortable, and then if we want that guest or we want people in that friendship group, they're more likely to say no because somebody else has treated them that way. So we've tried to be really mindful of that. And I get sometimes for the audience, we think we go pretty hard when it's there, but at the same time, we're big on.
You have. I've seen a lot of your stuff. You ask a fair hard questions. I remember I've seen a lot of clips. You know, I think you guys do a great job at that. So
I appreciate that.
Wouldn't be too hard. But I think as well, like you said, you just got to respect the time of that person.
Well, it doesn't help anybody in the industry if somebody comes onto a podcast and they get a poor experience, and then they're more likely to say no to the next.
Well, they're
person.
used as clickbait, and then they don't want to go on another one because they've been used as clickbait.
Stuff,
you know,
because like anything you say, you know, context is everything, and like a 20-second clip doesn't give the context of the whole conversation. But it's a world we live in, man. You just got to get on with it and get it done. No one, like at the end of the day, no one cares after like 10 minutes anyway. Unfortunately / fortunately, it's like the best thing ever.
Well, clickbait's great for that quick this week. Let's get a spike. Let's get a few followers in, whatever it may be. But then as a longevity point of view, sustainability, it's not really. So we keep teasing, but let's talk a bit more about the future and your vision.
Yes.
So at the moment where you sit, are you a person that does 1, 3, 5 year plans? Or if not, what's your bigger vision for Producey and what you're doing?
For us, like, you know, I just want to be a big, one of the biggest sports entertainment companies, really. Like, I think I want to be seen in the same light as Australia's big, you know, like Listener, ARN. I want to be seen in the same ilk of those businesses, and just surrounding ourselves with good people, doing good content, and doing stuff that I suppose like we believe in as well. As we mentioned earlier about like what can make money versus what you actually do is two different sort of things. So just aligning with our strategy and doing cool stuff and creating content that, you know, we want and wish we had is a big one. Like the reason I think Dyl Friends is somewhat successful is like everything I do in that is what I wish I had when I was like 16 to 25. I create it for those people because that's where I needed probably guidance myself in those spots. So everything we do is just for that purpose, creating things, cool content for people that like sports. Like it doesn't have to be sport, but it can be anything that people that like sport also consume. You know, they like their lawn, they like music, they like pop culture, any of those things, and just collaborating with cool people. I love just, as I mentioned earlier, surrounding ourselves with really cool people, creating cool content, whether that's podcasts, vodcasts. You know, I'd love to even one day get into creating like TV shows or series or short films. Like who knows where things are going to go. I think just want to keep someone's told me like you don't want to have goals that are too straight because you might miss out on a few opportunities along the way. So, you know, which has been a really interesting thing for us, even with like AFL Clubby. I don't know if you've seen too much what we're doing there at the moment, but I've always had this idea around creating a football team that doesn't play.
Yeah.
And I love footy. I love what it's about. I love having a kick with mates and the camaraderie you get, but I don't want to play on the weekends because I don't want to get injured.
I might join you.
Yeah, you can come down.
And that's perfect.
That's the best description of I've ever heard.
You want to have a kick and get fit, but I don't want to play and break my leg. So we've created this team called AFL Clubby. We're like fully partnered up with the AFL. We're doing 2 8-week programs this year. It's ran by Mick Barlow, who's an AFL coach, and then Andrew Russell, former Hawthorn Carlton fitness manager, he's like designing the whole program. So there's actually something out of it that we can get out of. And that's something that's just like come from a discussion on a show, being like, I want to do this, and then it just happening.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's really cool.
I'm sure. Did a contract ever slide across your desk for a nice, paycheck for listener, or to jump on Triple M and have your own show, or did Nova ever approach you and say, hey, Dyl, we'd love you to actually do our drive home program, because you're building something of your own, but what you've built, I'm sure you could easily go and do it somewhere else and almost, I don't want to say it's the easy route, but it could be a great, awesome, just paycheck, and I'm not saying it's selling out, but because I don't want to offend the people that have done that. But did that ever slip your mind when things started to build? And I don't know if things came across your desk or if you had conversations, but what were those conversations, if there was any?
It's definitely not the easy way out, that's for sure, because it's, like, as we said earlier, got to choose your heart. Like, it's going to be hard either way. If you go and work for a TV or radio station, then it's their thing. You're working for them. You're on their time. So it's different hard, which has been, something that I've definitely thought about. And when I created the podcast, the intention was to do this to then get a job on radio or TV. And then the longer it went, I was like, fuck, I just love doing what I'm doing, working for myself and building our own products, which was really cool, and not having to like report to anyone, I think was a big thing. But I've transparently never had like an option to go on radio and be like a drive host or anything like that. Like I got offered a couple of TV shows over the last 2 years, so two shows to host, which have been hard to say no to, but also like really just wanted to focus on my own thing, keep building everything else I'm doing. And
are they old shows or are they new shows?
They're new shows.
Okay, I was going to say, I wonder what they are.
Yeah, fully classified.
I was waiting for like, I'm a celebrity, get me out.
No. More so like they're not even shows. Well, one was a show, one would have been a show, but just said it just wasn't for me, and I just went back to that thing before about how much time I've got in the week and what I want to put my energy into, and it was what I'm doing at the moment, building our own stuff, having fun there. I've got my own team to sort of worry about and want to put all my effort into that, and then go home and spend time with my son. So I just thought that if I did this, it just wouldn't align with what I'm doing.
Take family and colleagues aside. Do you have a circle of people that you would go to for advice when it comes to either business or content or anything like that? Again, not in your team, not in your family, just and who are those people you'd potentially lean on? Yeah,
huge. Massive. I think this is probably my most frustrating thing in the world for anyone, especially like people that want to improve, is like you cannot do it by yourself. Like without the people in my life, like I would actually genuinely be nowhere. Like I ask almost too much of people around me, but I just love sucking knowledge out of people. So I thought we were going to say
I was like, where is that going, Dyl? And there was a pause as well. I just love sucking.
I was looking.
And it just stopped for a second there, and I worried.
Do you know why? Did you worry about your former footy tipping name?
No.
That's all. We'll talk about it later.
That's off air. Sorry about that. But I
didn't think of that.
Like to get out as much knowledge as I can from those people.
Extract.
Yeah. I've got to use extract rather than sucking.
No.
Apologies.
Yeah.
And like a few of them is like business partner Baldy, who is in my team. But before that, he was like a mentor of mine. We used to catch up once a week and just talk about everything and try and work out a plan. Another one is a mate of mine, Ali Tarai, who I've just met randomly through having an email. He's a founder of Future Golf. You guys should get him on, actually.
He's been on your pod a few times.
Yeah. I love what he does. He runs a program called Recalibrate as well with a guy named Vin Gian, who was just on the Diary of a CEO.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I'll tee it up. And he's amazing. Just like one of the most methodical thinkers. Like I'm a very emotional person, which is why I was saying before about like, don't react to things. I've had to work on that a lot of like just take 24 hours and have a process of like, let the emotion come down, think logically, what can I control, that sort of stuff. That's all come from him, which has been huge. And then I think, no business is, I suppose, successful in a sense as well if it's not like turning over a profit. So financially I've had to really upskill myself in like running business, and Baldy and Zach take care of a lot of that. But you still got to have a sense of knowledge of like what costs things, what doesn't, how does a business run. Which my mate Ricky Jessup, who's also been on my show a lot, who's our CFO, works with Blue Rock. He's been amazing in that sense. Catch up with him all the time. Numbers isn't something that I love at all, but have had to force myself to continually just learn and know and know the basics of what's going on, because it is a fundamental of running a business.
You seem very, maybe it's because you're on someone else's show, but you just seem very calm and level-headed and talking. So you're just talking. I heard you
get some decibels.
No, I was just going to say, like, was there a time where you've had to? Even the legs just crossed under there. He's become really comfortable.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's what I like.
You're talking about mentors, and my dad used to always call it his sphere of influence. Like, who is in your sphere of influence, and choose 5 or so people. When you're balancing being a larrikin whilst being a business owner, whilst being a boss, how do you mix the larrikin side with the boss side? And you talked about mates and staff under you.
Yeah, I didn't probably answer that question well enough.
No, you did, but I'm more. I just refer. I think about you, say, on Footy and Friends, and that dynamic, and you when Liz Cloggers was around, and that dynamic. That's very different to you on Dyl Friends, and it's very different to you as probably a business person as well.
Yeah, you got to jump in and out of those. Like I like to think. One thing I actually learned a long time ago was I had a podcast with a guy named Tom Harkin from Tomorrow Man, great organisation for it was for young men. Now I think it's for young women as well. And I've stolen this from him, but he talks a lot about range, and like you can have range as a person, and whether there's not one side to you, you're not just like the funny guy or the smart guy or the business guy. Like you can have different parts of your body that you can pull on and know when to use them at different times. So that's had to be something I've definitely learned. Like I love if we're I can talk to you guys about absolutely like the dumbest shit in the world, and that's probably where I'm at just like all the time, because there's so much going on in my head. I just need dumb shit to just keep me like normal. And then the other side is like the business side, which I feel like I'm pretty good at, but I also have had to outsource that a lot to Adam and Zach, because I found it really hard. Like if I was going to go on Footy and Friends or do a funny show, but like I'm not thinking of, like I'm too much in the business and thinking about like the accounting meeting I just had, it's very hard to like flick the switch to laugh. And I was talking about earlier with the camera stuff. Like I said to the boys about the show, I was like, we just need to get this right, because if the cameras are fucked and we're annoyed about that, it's very hard to then all of us to then like joke about it on the show. So if we just like get everything right, it gives us the best chance for all of us to like have fun and laugh. Because if we all want to kill each other 3 minutes before a show, it's very hard to like get that up.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So I don't know, you guys doing a co-hosting role, I'm sure you've had a few tiffs here and there, and you get on the couch together and you're both leaning as far away as possible.
I think we're actually pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah,
pretty good. Yeah, good.
We just bash each other up during the week. So
well, it's good.
These are fun days.
Yeah.
It's you got to play multiple roles, and
Yeah.
I think even with the friendship stuff at work and all those bits and pieces, like I've had to. I feel like I was probably too much on the mate side for too long, which I definitely want to be. And it does make in talking about this, but like you'd rather be liked than rather be respected than being liked at the end of the day. And there's a great Kobe Bryant analogy of if you got something, when you like see someone, they got something in their teeth, and it's like you can stare at them and they got something in their teeth, and then they'll go and someone else will tell them, and then you'll look like an idiot and they'll be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Or you can just say to them, hey mate, look, you got something in your teeth. There's a little bit of uncomfortableness about it, but you're actually saving them from being embarrassed by about 5 other people.
Yeah.
So that's how I try and look at relationships.
Just picturing that happening.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
You're good at that. You always.
I do really rate it. Like if someone comes up to me and says, mate, you got something in your teeth, it's just like a little trigger me. I'm like, oh, okay. I respect this person. Like, they're not just like trying to be my mate.
I do that way
They're
too much to you. I don't know. You've always got something on your face. Always.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to do it.
That's good. No, thank you.
You got to do it because it's the easy option. The easy option is not saying it.
Yeah.
And then they just get embarrassed by someone else. So back to the point is at work, I would much rather someone come up to me and tell me I'm not doing something right or they're not doing something right than it get 3 weeks down the track and it's still the same mistake and everyone's getting frustrated. So,
Well, I remember we a couple of years ago, like I said to you off air, we would, for a while were flying. I would fly up to the Gold Coast and Dos would fly back to Melbourne, and we were staying actually in northern New South Wales. We drove all the way to Brisbane, hired out a studio, paid the most money we've ever paid in production before to interview Josh Dunkley.
yes.
So he came on the show and it was great. And we had a young videographer at the time who was a brother of a mate from another country, and he came over and.
Not just for the interview.
He was
He
living
fly
sorry,
from the
you're
UK
right.
for the interview. Yeah,
He was living here, and we threw him a bone and said, "Mate, we'd love you to do some work for us and
free accommodation.
Yeah, pretty much. Pay him with the little money we had. But anyway, the point of the story is the way that, because it was such a big interview for us at the time, the way it came out on cameras was like the whole interview. Dunk's just got this big microphone stand covering his whole face. So for all the clips, it just looks shit. Like
Oh, mate, I was so angry.
and let's just say the drive. I don't know if you've done, well, you would have before, but that drive from Brisbane to Gold Coast, it's just long. It's one road. It's just traffic.
Not just
it's
that,
backed
we
up.
were in a van, my partner's van, and it's a bench. So 3 of you were squeezed next to each other in the front. So it's not like there's one guy in the back. All 3 of us are in the front. Like, oh, it was
So it's
horrible.
probably 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, just crickets. Just crickets. Nobody wanted to say a word. Once we checked the cameras, it was just total and utter frustration. But now,
You know
with our
what?
great team.
Like, whose fault is that?
Ours.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And
exactly.
let's be honest, like that, like you look back and that was the biggest thing for our
Yeah.
show at the time. That,
Yeah,
that
for
I think
sure.
that's the right
You're
lens.
disappointed in yourself,
Yeah.
and the same thing. Like I said earlier, like with the stuff. And
Well, you
like,
talk about, is it the Mitch Robinson one?
which one was that? Oh, when I did
Yeah,
record it.
yeah,
that
like-
was my fault though. That,
Well,
yeah,
no,
that
but as an example, like,
Yeah.
this is still our fault, but at the time you think it's the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And you go, fuck. To us it was, because it cost so much to run the bloody show that day, and it didn't turn out. But you ended up getting to record that again, and but it just
Had
not the
the
and,
same.
our,
same
and our
step,
clips
though.
went fine, and nobody noticed, and it was fine.
Maybe it
Like,
would
Dunks
have
didn't
maybe it would
care.
have stood out more because it was in such a weird place.
that's
in
right.
space. So maybe
People
it-
just thinking you guys are fucking
yeah,
idiots.
maybe it was actually pretty good for you guys.
Well, we might do a bit of nuff. We can't let you go without a little bit of nuffy chat in a second, but maybe
100%.
time for Tour Edge if you're happy to bring the clubs out. So, Dyl, you're a avid golfer, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
And I'm sure you appreciate. We probably should have asked. You're not sponsored by any clubs.
Taylor made.
Tell them, mate.
No, you can bring him in. That's fine. Yeah.
So this is a Tour Edge 725 series deal, and
Yep.
obviously all our viewers and listeners, the regular ones, will know about these fantastic clubs. Big focus on precision,
They look
accuracy, and
used, don't
distance.
they? You've used them.
Oh, well, we're not allowed to use them.
Oh, they're the props. They're the
these are the
props.
prop.
Yeah.
But we do encourage anybody that is in the market for a set of new clubs to head over to Tour Edge AU on Instagram.
Well, they're over in Dandenong.
Yeah.
They manufacture.
Tour, is that a Tour Edge with, aren't they with Drummond?
They are.
They are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Ryan Pappenhauser uses
yeah.
the Tour Edges.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does,
But,
so does DOS.
Yeah, I love a
Doesn't
bit of
hit 'em
Tour
as
Edge.
well,
I don't
though.
hit him that well, but I'll give it a crack. So,
Tour Edge AU guys, follow them on Instagram because there's always good giveaways. You could win those clubs, so
Plenty.
definitely keep an eye.
Huge.
Out. Now, Dyl, we asked you
Few
to.
woods in there, boys. What are you?
Yeah.
what are you
We do have
running?
some presents from Tour Edge for you a little bit later on.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you won't be taking the clubs.
Yeah.
And if you think it's funny to take the bag and walk out the door, we get that every week, mate. So that joke's a
joke's
bit
not
old.
funny anymore. Yeah.
But we've asked you to bring in a show and tell item as
Yes.
part of this segment. We'd love to know what you brought in.
Yeah, for sure. So do I just run with it? Or
Yeah,
run with it.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is my wedding ring, and it's not because I I do like my wife. She's great, but
Get a nice hard shot on
yeah,
that one, Bryce.
it's this wedding band is actually my grandfather's wedding band. So
Oh, right.
when he obviously got married to my nan, and this is my mum's side of the family, and he passed away when I was like 2 years old, so I didn't really get to meet him at all. But it's just been one of those things throughout my whole life. Like whenever I've been young or like any part of my life, like whenever I'm at a family function, I'll like quickly turn and anyone will say, "Oh God, you look like your pa when you did that." And it's always just been something to me. Like I've always had this connection to him, even though I didn't get the opportunity to grow up with a grandpa, or both grandpas had left. So it'd been it's a really special ring. And then when my nan passed away, she didn't really leave anything for anyone. Like it was just, there was nothing. There was like sort of a bit of a will for the whole family, but the only thing she said that wanted to go to someone was this band to me.
Oh, right.
Which was really nice. And then to even sort of go further into it, it's like the signifying a marriage to your wife, and then to be able to have my son Max, who was a was a part in itself of like that journey. We had to go through like a couple of years of IVF and go through that fertility journey to then, now I'm having him, he's nearly 2, and then I've got another one on the way. And it's just like crazy how something can be passed through so many sort of generations and mean a lot. And, me thinking about passing this on to his son one day and those bits and pieces too. And it would be genuinely worth, in terms of monetary value, nothing. But for me, the sentimental value to it is immense. It's very special to me. And yeah, just love it. There's so many ways I can sort of go with it, because it's just like, it just means a lot. Like even just the relationship of becoming a dad as well has been huge, and something that like has been a massive part of my life. Like my own relationship with my own dad's fantastic, but he had a lot of troubles with some mental health and alcoholism throughout my childhood. So that was sort of a big thing for me to be like, try and learn from that experience and then take it into like my own life with him. So again, whenever I look at it, it just depending on the day, it can mean different things.
Yeah,
Mate.
Well, that's perfect for the show and tell segment. Thanks to Tour Edge. That's exactly what it's here for. And that's a great sentiment, mate.
Good.
So thank you.
I do have to take it off sometimes though when I'm at the gym, because that's the only time I take it off. Because you can get like, I reckon I nearly got it caught on something one day and the finger nearly came off. Like it was
nasty.
It was
You
bad.
don't want that.
Yeah.
There's a new trend. We just learned about this today. People wearing wedding rings around their neck. Like a
Well,
necklace.
let's just say our other guest, their show and tell was a ring too. So
Really? Okay, maybe, yeah.
And then we had a
What's
watch as
been the-
well. So it seems accessories.
What's been the best show and tell that you've had?
Jules Lund
He was
brought
great.
in far out. He came in with a bang, Jules. He walked in and
We had to go around the corner and hide our eyes. He said, I need to set something
So it
up.
was quite big.
and
and
it was the first one we've ever done.
and
So
they
we didn't
brought in
know
one of
what
these
to
things.
expect.
He
And,
he sheltered it with like almost one of these like backdrop things.
What was
And-
it?
Well, you explain it.
it was it was related to Jim Stein. So it was a
Oh,
gift from Jim.
Jesus.
And
What
Because
is
they
it?
did the
every heartbeat.
yeah, but they did the what's the charity called?
Yeah,
Reach.
Reach. They were in
Yeah.
Reach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jules. He did a lot of speaking for Jim, and it was actually really great hearing the relationship between them. But
But he sold us. He's such a good storyteller. So
He
we
is
thought
very,
it was
very good.
We thought it was going to be this big sentimental moment. Basically, it was Jim's last gag before he died. That he basically gave him this whiskey set, knowing that Jules doesn't drink whiskey, and it was the ugliest looking thing ever. And Josh and I going,
That's
"Oh mate,
fucking
that's beautiful. That's good." And he goes, "Boys, it's fucking disgusting."
Oh, was it that? Is it shocking?
And he's like, and he goes like, this fucker just like left this thing for me. He knows that it has to sit on my mantelpiece for the rest of time. But
Oh, that's so good.
But that was a really look. People brought in some. Yeah, there's been some great
there's
ones.
been some
so
good
far.
ones.
But no, it's been a good.
What would you two bring in?
Oh,
Have you ever done your own?
no, we
nah,
haven't,
we actually should do that for an uncut. You go.
about
What do you-
I have no idea. I have to think about it.
It's quite hard. Like I was thinking about it. The other only thing that I was thinking about bringing in was, and it's not that special, so I didn't want to like bring it in, was like my Garmin,
yeah,
purely because it's very replaceable and it's easy. But what it signifies to me is like, I just looking after yourself.
yeah,
And like, I
Yeah.
think that when you wear a watch, and I literally have mine on all the time, I just took it off and ran a battery, is whenever I see someone with a Garmin, I always go like, good, you're taking care of
Yeah.
your body. Like I'm a big believer in, just if you can eat well, sleep well, general health, fitness, like that's half the battle.
yeah.
Like if you can do that, you give yourself the best chance.
Yeah.
So I love the Garmin look. And,
love it.
and Apple Watch to an extent, but it's
It's not quite Garmin.
well, if you got the Apple Ultra, I'd say I've thought about this way too deeply.
Yeah, you have.
But the other one's more of an accessory. The Apple Ultra, I'm like, okay, this guy, the Whoop, I'm like, you've been sold into.
Yeah,
a cult.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, have you got a Whoop? Okay.
Have you
I actually did
ever
wear a
interviewed
Whoop.
somebody?
I did wear a Whoop, and I really liked it.
I want to know what you'd bring for show and tell.
I literally. Well, have you got one in your mind?
My only thing I can think of is
I'd go down
I've-
probably. Yeah.
I've got probably like a letter from my dad, like an old
that's
letter.
nice.
Oh, well, that's
my dad's
nice.
passed away.
Yeah,
And,
that's beautiful.
like it's just I got it for my 18th birthday, and
Wow.
it's just always there.
How old were you when you passed away?
21.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, he wrote one for my 21st as well, so I've got two.
Did you know that he was passing?
He had cancer.
Yeah. That time?
It was for 8 weeks, so it was very
Wow.
fast.
So the letter, sorry to cut, but the letter that he wrote that when you were 21, did he know that he was
Nah,
passing?
that was for my 21st birthday, and it's literally I pick it up probably once a month, and it's just great. Like, and that's probably something that you'll do for Max.
Yeah.
Even I saw a video the other day, but I wish I did a podcast with him. Like that's something we should all do with our parents.
100%, man.
Just sit down with a microphone, and just ask your mum and dad, even if they're healthy or not, just do it anyway.
Mate, 100%. Like, I'm at that age now where, I'm starting my own family, so I have all these questions about your own family, and then I'm like, where the fuck are we from? Like, where, like, did we originate from, what country? And then my dad's mum, they're from, like, Kite and Bendigo way, and my auntie sat down with her, like, 10 years before she died and did, like, a typing thing of, like, their life and just asked her, like, where'd you grow up? What were your parents like? What'd you do for fun? And just reading it, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I wish that I had this, I wish I could sit down with her now and do this as well. So I'm going to get both my mum and dad into the studio, not release them, but just ask them, like, the same questions so that I've got that on record.
Well, even, I don't want to be a nuffy here, but like your episode with Tom Barras.
Yeah.
When he was talking about how Max doesn't know you and doesn't know what, like, that hit home big time. And I related it so much to me and my dad.
Yeah.
And my dad was an entrepreneur as well. And I go, I'm going through all this shit. We're going through all this stuff. And I'm going, he would have went through all of it too. And I had no idea.
Yeah.
And you don't know it unless you actually ask them the questions. So we got to ask them the questions while we can. But, yeah, sorry.
No, mate, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Anything you would bring?
Yours couldn't be as good as that, man.
No, I got nothing. I'd have to literally make the story up. No, well, the only thing I can think of is I've got something from my great grandma. So she lived to be 101. I was very fortunate. But mate, we didn't want to send you home empty-handed today. So we've got some goodies for you. We're going to bring over the first one, which is Mitch Dowd. So we want you to open this up now.
Wow.
This is actually now, we've just brought these guys on. So Mitch Dowd, they're leading the way in all things underwear. Oh. But for you, Dyl, they've done something special.
Do they know that I'm a triangle man?
Oh, you're a white front.
I'm a white, yeah.
Mate, you and Dee will get along well.
Mate, they're the best. I'd still wear these, but
well, you know what they've done for you, Dyl? They actually own Russell Athletic too, if you know.
I love it.
How
good.
So they've got some stuff for you, but did you know Russell Athletic are the inventors of the original sweatshirt?
I did not know that.
No, it goes all the way back to 1902, and they are hyped to sponsor dos&d, and they've done something very special for you today, Dyl. So we'd love to see what they've sent you.
That is amazing.
So a little bit of a sweater. Oh, that's a quarter zip. That's a beautiful quarter zip.
I love
perfect for the golf course.
Vintage Russell Athletic's very cool too.
So Russell Athletic, Mitch Dowd, check them out, guys. And if you go to mitchdowd.com.au, use the code. Oh, they've set you up.
Been sorted. Thank you,
Russell.
And guys,
Russ and friends.
We need to say though, for anybody that wants to look like Dyl, mitchdowd.com.au, use the code dos&d44, 40% off.
Jesus,
they're
giving it away.
They're giving it away, Dyl. Exactly right. Now we've got the Milkman as well. Do you want to bring?
Now this is my favourite.
Yeah, this is Dos's favourite.
We've got more presents.
All things men's grooming, Dyl. So Milkman are leading the way in all things men's grooming. They're nice little toiletry bag here. Unzip that.
It's heavy.
Oh, mate, they're stacking it.
Mate, there's nothing better than a gift.
For everyone who's listening and watching, dos&d checkout code for 20% off at Milkman.
Beautiful.
MilkmanAustralia.com. That's
it.
20% off. Use the code dos&d at MilkmanAustralia.com.
How good's a 3-in-1?
Well, what have they sent you, Dyl? Because they actually changed it up for all the guests.
That's a 3-in-1.
Yep.
I only need one of them. And then this is a natural deodorant, which my missus is all over this stuff.
Oh, really?
Like,
I
you
should
don't
be
want
wrapped.
parabens in the
The microplastics are everywhere.
Mate,
They're
are,
everywhere.
so you gotta
They're
get
going to
onto
kill
it.
us.
And there's a
Get
nice
onto
little travel bag for you too next time you go into state for a podcast.
There we go.
Yeah, sniff test.
Beautiful.
And then, Sammy, last but not least, it's the dos&d goodie bag, which is our favourite.
God.
This will make you look good around the Fitzroy area, Dyl.
No, you don't,
back it up.
Dyl, you don't need to pull everything out here, but we've just got a few extra goodies from our naming rights partner, Fleet Plan Hire. They're into their golf as well. So you've got a golf towel, golf glove. And then Tour Edge. We've got a nice little...
Oh, this is sick. I actually really like this.
Oh, there you go.
I do like all the other stuff. But I do like this as well.
Nice little ball pouch with
It's nice when the
guests.
guests. It's nice when the guests actually might use.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly
wow.
right. There's some gloves. There might be a hat in there for you
Hats.
too, mate. So you're looking nice.
Is the Tour Edge hat in there?
There should be Tour Edge. Is there a hat in
Is
there?
it?
There's a hat as well.
Oh,
beautiful.
good. Thank goodness.
Love it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that's a nice.
guys. No, this is
Nah, mate.
amazing.
No, we can't thank
so
you
much.
enough, Dyl. It's I know it's been a long time coming, but we've been really, really looking forward to it. Again, you're one of our probably heroes, someone we've looked up to for a long time, mate, and you've paved the way, and we're actually, starting to make some waves ourselves because of people like you. So we can't thank you enough for the time.
Mate, you've done it yourselves. You boys are incredible. Love the effort that you've put in, and just hearing the hustle has been amazing. It's given me a pep in my step. So hopefully it's not the last time we can catch up and do some more stuff in the future. Absolutely honoured to be on the show, and thanks to the dos&d community for having me and all the amazing prizes.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy those freebies.
Yeah, thank you very much. How good is this?